My name is Avery Monroe, 29, born into a family where perfection was a requirement, and I never made the cut. Bryn did. Bryn, with her perfect curls, perfect smile, perfect engagement ring paid for with someone else's money. Mine. I've always been the practical one. Warehouse logistics, double shifts, side gigs. My wedding plan was simple. Backyard, lights strung from trees, 20 people max. My trust fund, $27,000 from Grandma Lane, was the only reason I could dream at all, until it wasn't mine anymore. The letter came in a plain cream envelope with my name scrawled in hurried ink. No return address. No stamp. Just a message dropped at my door like a threat. We regret to inform you that the balance of your trust fund has been withdrawn and applied toward the deposit of the Summit Pines Resort, Aspen. I don't remember dropping to my knees. The floor just rose up and caught me. Click. Bank login. Account balance, $0. Transaction history, 5 withdrawals. Small enough not to trigger flags. Legal enough if the trustees signed. My parents. I'd turned 30 in less than a month. That money was days from becoming legally mine. Instead, it became part of a backdrop for Bryn's influencer wedding. The irony? She once said, "Why work when you can trend?" I opened the second envelope. A printed PDF. Consent_authorization.pdf. My name typed neatly at the top. A forged signature at the bottom. I, Avery Monroe, consent to gift the remaining trust to my sister, Bryn Monroe. I hadn't even known she was engaged until last week. I stood up. Cold air spilled through the cracked window. Somewhere outside, a car door slammed. I checked the peephole. Empty hallway. Quiet, too quiet. I locked the deadbolt. And then the knock came. Again. Not loud. Deliberate. A box sat on my doormat. Brown paper, no markings. Inside, a USB drive. Labeled by hand. read_first.mp4. My laptop's screen flared blue. I hit play. A dim camera angle. Basement setting. Voices off screen. She won't fight, a woman said. She never does. That's why it had to be her. A pause. She's practical. She'll understand. The camera turned just enough. Bryn stepped into frame, laughing. She works nights and eats ramen. We gave her purpose. Be grateful. Static. End of file. The room spun. I clutched the edge of the table. My heart pounded. They didn't just take from me. They planned it, plotted it, coordinated it. I checked my phone. 1 missed call, Mom. No voicemail. Another buzz. A new text. Bryn. Hey sis, can we keep things civil? It's just money. You still have your health. I stared at her message like it might explode. The betrayal wasn't just the theft. It was the calm. The calculation. Like I was an obstacle. A resource. Not a person. There's a saying, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I hadn't, but now I did. Another knock. I didn't open the door. Instead, I picked up the phone. Called the trust administrator's emergency line. Miss Monroe, the woman's voice was tight-clipped. We were expecting this call. I want a freeze on the account. Everything. Retroactive audit. A pause. Keystrokes. I'm seeing anomalies. Yes. There's a document dated September 10th. Verbal authorization. But it's missing a notarized supplement. Because it's fake. Then you'll want legal counsel. Immediately. I ended the call. My apartment felt smaller than ever. The walls inched closer. Light flickered. I unplugged the USB and pocketed it. 3 days. That's how long it took them to erase my future. That's how long I'd take to flip theirs upside down. Let them think I'm the side character. I'm about to rewrite the damn script. The first thing I did was kill the lights. Then the blinds. One by one. Pull, twist, snap. Paranoia? No. Just logic. When someone lies that easily, they're capable of worse. I sat on the floor with my back against the cabinet, knees tucked, phone in hand. The USB still burned in my pocket like it knew too much. I dialed the trust's legal administrator again, direct line. I didn't blink. Trust Division, Diana speaking. This is Avery Monroe. I need to speak to whoever handles the Monroe Family Trust. Now. A pause. Miss Monroe. Yes. I was briefed to expect your call. Briefed. They withdrew the funds, I said, voice flat, claiming my consent. I never gave it. Not in writing. Not verbally. Another pause. Clicking keys. There's a verbal memo on file dated September 10th. Logged under Celeste Monroe's authorization. You're listed as present. I wasn't. Then I advise you to retain counsel immediately. I already have. Lie. But necessary. Diana's voice stiffened. Then we will prepare all audit documentation. Per federal statute, forged consent is considered criminal misrepresentation of fiduciary authority. I ended the call. Silence. Except it wasn't. There it was again. The sound. Third night in a row. Same scrape across the hallway carpet. Pause. 2 slow footsteps. Then stillness. I moved to the peephole. Nothing. But the hallway light flickered, faint, almost imperceptible. I backed away. Not fear. Just calculation. Always assume you're being watched. The mistake isn't being paranoid. It's being wrong once. The next morning, I skipped my shift. Instead, I went to HR. Karen, my manager, mid-50s, practical, the kind who brings donuts on Tuesdays. She looked up from her desk with concern that felt just a little too rehearsed. Avery, you okay? No, I said. Who called about me? She blinked. Slowly, like I'd jumped the script. I'm not sure I follow. I slid my phone across her desk. Open email. Subject. Mental health concern. Employee review. Sender. Anonymous at resolvetruth.com. CC'd. HR, corporate wellness, and my supervisor. Someone's trying to flag me as unstable, I said. Karen read it. Her face hardened. They mentioned your sister. Said you're spreading misinformation. Accusing your parents of theft. Because I am. Avery. I'm filing criminal intent. Forgery. Embezzlement. They know it. This is retaliation. Karen sighed. A deep, tired breath. You're a damn good worker. But this could get ugly. It already is. Cinematic silence. She pushed the phone back to me. Take the week. No doc. But keep a record of everything. Already done. Every file was backed up 3 times. 1 cloud in Canada. 1 drive in my fireproof lockbox. 1 sent to a friend I hadn't spoken to in years. I don't believe in safety. I believe in redundancy. By noon, I was on my couch, coffee cold, laptop open. A new notification blinked in the corner of the screen. Remote access detected. IP, summitpinesresort.com. I froze. The resort. The one booked with my money. Someone there had opened one of my encrypted folders. I refreshed. New folder appeared. Her _consent_ final. Click. Password required. I didn't even try to guess. I already knew who it belonged to. There was only one person who called me her. Bryn. I stepped outside. Needed air. Clarity. Anything. And saw the car. Again. Same charcoal sedan. Parked 4 houses down. Driver's seat reclined. He wasn't smoking this time. I pulled my phone, snapped a photo. Plate visible. Then I texted it to a burner I'd set up for exactly this. Contact, Ezra Vale. Message, they're watching me. He replied in 10 seconds. Let them. 3 words. No fluff. No panic. Just precision. I returned inside. Closed the door. Locked every bolt. Then my phone buzzed again. Incoming call, Bryn Monroe. I didn't answer. She called again. I let it ring. Again. Until it stopped. Then came the voicemail. Hey sis, her voice dripped sugar. I just want you to know I get it. I really do. You always needed something to feel in control. But this isn't control. This is desperation. And people are starting to notice. Click. I dropped the phone on the counter. People are starting to notice. That wasn't a warning. That was a threat. I opened my laptop again. Rewatched the USB footage. Froze it at 0:47. Zoomed in. There. Behind Bryn's shoulder, barely visible. A hand holding a phone. Recording. Not just a recording for them. A recording from someone else. Another angle. Another person. I took a screenshot. Sent it to Ezra. He replied 1 minute later. We're not alone in this. And they're not the only ones hiding something. I stared at the screen. My heart thudded once. Twice. Louder. Then the screen went black. Dead. Battery full. No reason. I stood still. I could feel it now. In the floorboards. In the walls. In the back of my neck. This wasn't about money anymore. It never was. If I have 72 hours to disappear, they'd better pray I don't reappear with a list. Ezra Vale didn't ask how I got his number. He just answered on the first ring. I need an asset freeze, I said. Full spectrum. Trust, property, tight accounts, all Monroe signatures. He didn't breathe for 2 seconds. Then, send the documents. I'll file within the hour. Click. Cut scene. The next frame. A bank lobby, granite walls. Slow jazz bleeding from unseen speakers. I walked past the greeter and straight to the glass office in the back. Madeline Cartwright, senior financial officer, and my grandmother's longtime advisor. She wore dark lipstick and a silk scarf like it was armor. Avery, she greeted, voice low. You picked quite a day. I dropped the forged consent forms on her desk. She read them. Her brow twitched. That's not your signature. No. Your grandmother warned me about this. She pushed her chair back. She said if your mother ever touched the principal before it matured, I was to notify compliance. I looked her dead in the eye. Then consider this your trigger. She opened a drawer, pulled out a black folder. Not digital. Old school. Inside a handwritten codicil. Elaine Monroe's will amendment, witnessed and notarized. Madeline tapped it with one red-painted nail. Clause 72, she said. If fraud or coercion is suspected, all assets revert to the secondary beneficiary. Which is me. No, her voice turned flat. It's whoever proves the fraud first. I froze. Time cut. Back to my apartment. Night. Laptop open. USB drive back in. Frame-by-frame analysis of the video. This time I focused on the audio. The laugh behind Bryn wasn't hers. It was masculine, confident, too familiar. Playback again. Then I heard it. Just make sure she signs before the maturity date. She won't read it. That wasn't Bryn. That was my father. Cut scene. New location. Ezra's office. Downtown. He slid a tablet across the table. Summit Pines just posted their official press invite for the Monroe Garrett wedding, he said. I glanced at it. 200 guests. Sponsorships. A $30,000 floral installation. My money in petals. He pointed to the fine print. Public RSVP includes a press reception 2 days before the ceremony. You know what that means. Media. Cameras, he corrected. Exposure. I nodded. And that's when I said it. Let's give them something to film. Next morning, I walked into my parents' house. No announcement. No warning. Just opened the door with the key they forgot I still had. The smell of lavender cleaner hit first. Then Bryn's voice. And the guest bags will be by the infinity pool, she said from the living room. Not the garden. That's where the wine tasting is. I stepped into view. She dropped her phone. Avery. Celeste turned the corner, holding a stack of monogrammed towels. Her mouth froze mid-word. You're not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be a lot of things, I said. Then I dropped the manila folder onto the marble countertop. Bank records, IP logs, witness transcripts, a screen-capped text from my father to the planner confirming the wire transfer. They didn't even read it, because they saw the USB. And that's when Bryn finally broke. Okay, so what? She snapped. You were never going to do anything with that money. It was just sitting there. I looked at her, not even angry, just clinical. You always confuse silence with permission. Celeste spoke finally. Quiet, deliberate. Avery, this isn't what Grandma would have wanted. Families compromise. This isn't compromise, I said. It's theft. Then I said it loud enough for the kitchen cameras to pick up. You have 72 hours to return every cent, or I go public. They stared. I left. Later that night, I stood in the parking garage of my building. The charcoal sedan was back. Same plates, same driver. But this time when I raised my phone, the window rolled down. The man inside wore a navy suit. Late 40s. No expression. He held up a badge. Federal. You Avery Monroe. My pulse skipped. Yes. He stepped out, closed the door. His shoes echoed on the concrete. We need to talk. The overhead light flickered. He reached into his coat. Not a weapon. A document. Search warrant. Issued that morning. I'm going to need access to your apartment, your financial records, and whatever's on that USB. Why? He paused, studied my face, then said, because it's not just your trust fund. This goes deeper than you think. I took a step back. He looked past me, then leaned in. Your family isn't the only one laundering money through Summit Pines. Then he added, and they're not the ones in control anymore. The federal agent didn't come inside. He didn't have to. His warning detonated everything inside me long before he turned and disappeared into the dark concrete of the garage. I went upstairs, grabbed my bag, and dumped everything onto the table. USB, forged consent forms, screenshots, trust memos. A war chest. A funeral kit for reputations. The clock said 11:04 p.m. 44 hours left on my deadline. Cut scene. Morning. Gray sky. Frost crawling across my windshield. I drove to Ezra's office with the heater blasting and my hands shaking. Not from cold, but from clarity. He was already waiting against the railing when I pulled up. Crisp suit. Dark eyes. The calm of someone who'd seen lives collapse and never flinched. You're early, he said. You said we needed exposure. We do. He opened the passenger door. Get in. We're going to the gala. My stomach dropped. Bryn's pre-wedding gala. Oh, it's much more than that, Ezra said. It's a stage. Cut scene. The Mayweather country estate looked like a movie set built for people who insisted they were humble. Chandeliers glittered behind towering windows. Valet lines curved like polished serpents across the gravel. Ezra handed me a small device, a slim black rectangle. A recorder? I asked. A detonator, he said. Press this when you're ready. Ready for what? He didn't answer. He just pushed open the gilded doors. Inside, gold glass artificial warmth. Every surface dripping wealth. And at the center of it all, like a star performing in the mirror of her own ego. Bryn. White gown. Spray tan glow. Diamond-studded hairpins, spelling bride. Her eyes found me instantly, widening in a perfect influencer gasp. Avery, you came. Celeste arrived behind her like a ghost. Poised. Smooth. Weapon disguised as a mother. We're so glad you reconsidered, Celeste said, kissing the air beside my cheek. Her breath smelled like champagne and calculation. Tonight will be healing for all of us. Healing, I repeated. Sure. My father approached next, patting my shoulder with a hand that felt like a lie wearing skin. "Let's sign the reconciliation document," he murmured, guiding me toward the stage. "Put this behind us." "Behind who?" I said. He didn't like that. His jaw twitched, but he kept smiling. Cut scene. The ballroom lights dimmed. The DJ lowered the music. Bryn took the mic. Her voice trembled perfectly. "Thank you all for coming tonight. It means so much as we celebrate love, family, and forgiveness." Cameras popped. Guests sighed like they rehearsed. Then she reached for me. "My sister has something to say." Of course she did. I walked on stage. Ezra leaned against the column in the back, nodding once. The detonator in my pocket burned through my dress. Bryn held out a gold pen. "Just sign the release," she whispered behind her smile. "Let's end this." Her hand shook, but not with nerves. With thrill. She thought she'd won. I looked at the pen, then at the crowd, then at my mother. Celeste's expression never cracked. "Avery," she murmured, "don't make a scene." Funny, because that's exactly what I intended to make. "Before I sign anything," I said into the mic, "I'd like to read something." Phones lifted. Cameras rose. I unfolded a sheet from the manila folder. My voice steady, my breath not. Section 14B of the Summit Pines liability contract. I read, "If the deposit is made with misappropriated funds, the signer," I paused, "that's you, Bryn, "assumes full personal responsibility for breach damages, estimated at, let's see, $132,000. Gasps. Hands over mouths. Bryn's face drained. My father barked, "What are you doing?" "Speaking," I said. Then I pressed the detonator. A soft ding came from every phone in the room. Ezra's press release. Every document, every screenshot, every fraudulent signature, sent to all attendees, auto-forwarded to the local investigative desk, aggregated to social media by a programmed bot. Celeste lunged for me. Too late. On the screen behind us, a video began playing. The USB recording. Bryn laughing. My father saying she won't fight. She never fights. Every eye cut to Celeste. But something happened I didn't expect. She smiled. Not a fragile smile. Not a broken one. A knowing smile. "I knew you'd find it," she whispered to me, lacing her fingers together. The USB. The files. The claws. Every breadcrumb I left for you. I blinked. "What?" "Your father didn't orchestrate this," she said softly. "I did." The crowd vanished. Sound dropped out. It was only her and me, and a truth that hit like a blade slipping under skin. "I needed to know if you were willing to burn everything for the truth," she murmured. "Now I have my answer." "You set me up," I breathed. She leaned in. "Sweetheart, I created you." A camera flash went off. The spell broke. The room roared back into chaos. Bryn sobbed. My father shouted at a reporter. A security guard grabbed the mic. Guests scrambled for exits. Celeste stepped back, smoothing her dress. "You got what you wanted," she said. "Now, let's see how far you're willing to go." Ezra moved toward me, through the crowd. "Avery, we need to leave," he said quietly. "Now." But I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at my mother. Her eyes gleamed with something colder than malice. Ambition. "Let's see how far I'm willing to go." She had no idea. Let's see how much she deserves it when the cameras are rolling and the bank says no. The chaos from the gala didn't fade. It multiplied. It metastasized. By the next morning, it had a pulse. My phone vibrated nonstop. News alerts. Blog posts. Anonymous DMs. Is this real? Bryn Monroe's wedding is built on stolen money. The USB video, who leaked it? Celeste Monroe's smile hides something dark. I shut it all off. Not because I was overwhelmed, but because Ezra was pacing my living room with a stack of files that could crush a person's entire bloodline. "We're in deeper territory now," he said. Your family isn't just guilty of trust fraud. They're tied to multiple accounts, linked to Summit Pines. And that agent you met? He wasn't bluffing. He dropped a folder in front of me. Account statements, offshore routing numbers, Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, a Delaware LLC, all under my mother's maiden name. You said she left breadcrumbs for you, Ezra continued. This wasn't breadcrumbs. This was a maze, and she wanted to see if you could get out. I inhaled sharply. Some people don't fear losing. They fear being seen losing. I'd once heard that at a training conference. It stuck. And right now, Celeste wasn't losing. She was rearranging the board. Cut scene. The Monroe house appeared on my phone. Live footage. Bryn on the steps. Crying for cameras. Mascara bleeding. Reporters jeering questions. She looked like a porcelain doll melting in real time. Dad pushed through the door behind her, barking at the media about fabricated evidence, family harassment, jealous daughters. Celeste? Nowhere. That wasn't a good sign. Ezra leaned over my shoulder. She's not hiding. She's repositioning. Repositioning for what? You'll see. He tapped my phone, pulling up another live link. Summit Pines Resort's Instagram page. A fresh announcement. The Monroe Garrett wedding has been cancelled due to contract violation. All future reservations are under review. The comments section was a slaughterhouse. Bryn's sponsorships were dropping in real time. Cut scene. By noon, I was back at the bank. Madeline Cartwright met me behind the teller line. Face stiff, eyes uneasy. We froze the Monroe accounts, she said. All of them. How fast did they try to access them? Within minutes of receiving the press leak. Of course they did. Madeline lowered her voice. There's something else. Your grandmother left an audio memo. Timed release. Meant for you. Today. My breath hitched. Play it. She pushed a small device across the desk. I pressed the button. Grandma Elaine's voice filled the tiny space. Gentle, warm. A sound I hadn't heard in nearly 15 years. Avery, darling, if you're hearing this, then someone has tried to take what is yours. And I know who it would be. I need you to be brave, not polite. People who fear the truth will try to bury the one who speaks it. Don't let them. She paused. And if your mother is involved, remember, she was my daughter before she became your enemy. Protect yourself. Protect what I left you. Don't trust anyone who asks you to stay quiet. My throat closed. Ezra watched me carefully. You okay? No, I whispered. But I'm done pretending. Cut scene. Evening. My apartment. Laptop open. Screens glowing with financial data. Ezra briefing me, like I was stepping into a battlefield. Once we file the mandatory fraud reports, he said, your family will be forced into compliance. They'll either negotiate or they'll drown. What will they choose? He didn't blink. People like Celeste don't drown. They drag others under first. I sat back, heart pounding, head spinning. Do it, I said. He nodded and hit send. 7 federal agencies pinged. Automated. Cold. The paperwork storm had started. Cut scene. At 8:14 p.m., my phone lit up with an unknown number. I answered. Celeste's voice slid through the speaker. Silky, speech-perfect, rehearsed. Avery, you didn't have to escalate. You escalated the moment you forged my name. She clicked her tongue softly. Your father is beside himself. Bryn is devastated. Our family is imploding. Our family was a performance, I said. It's just missing an audience now. Her breath exhaled sharply, but she regained control instantly. Let me be very clear. If you drop this now, we can rebuild. If you don't... What? I cut in. You'll leak old medical records? Call my workplace? Claim I'm unstable? Silence. Then, sometimes survival looks like surrender, Avery. No, I said. Sometimes survival looks like evidence. Another beat of silence, longer this time. Soft, almost amused. You think you're holding the cards, she murmured. But you don't even know who set the table. Then she hung up. My entire body trembled, not from fear. From that terrible, electric moment when you realize the villain just admitted the game wasn't even about you. Ezra stepped out from the kitchen. You good? I nodded once. But inside, everything was shifting. Everything was aligning. Everything was about to collapse at the same time. And it needed to. I grabbed my coat. Let's go. Where? To finish what we started. I walked past him, heart steady, breath sharp. By the time they realize what's missing, the account will be empty, the house will be listed, and their names will be a warning label. The courthouse buzzed like a wasp's nest. Cameras flashed. Reporters swarmed. The Monroes arrived separately. Celeste in a black pantsuit sharp enough to slice glass. Bryn hidden behind oversized sunglasses. Nolan pale and sweat-soaked. And me? I walked in alone. No Ezra. No lawyers. Just me and a single manila folder. The room felt colder than it should have. Fluorescents humming overhead. Leather chairs squeaking with the weight of judgment. Judge Randall didn't waste time. She opened with the fraud investigation, skipping pleasantries. The paperwork I'd submitted, digital trails, audio files, recorded calls, sat stacked on her bench like coiled serpents waiting to strike. Ms. Monroe, she said, eyes pinning Celeste. You are accused of trust fund manipulation, document forgery, and attempted coercion. Do you have anything to say? Celeste lifted her chin. I did what any mother would do. I protected my daughter's future. Both of them. I could feel the courtroom hold its breath. Then I spoke. Future built on fraud is just a pretty lie, I said. And lies rot everything they touch. Bryn glanced over, her lips trembling. I didn't look back. Cut scene. Testimony started. Ezra was called first. He recounted every financial transaction, every duplicate document. He painted a picture so precise, even Celeste stopped scribbling in her leather notebook. Then came Madeline Cartwright. She played the audio from Grandma Elaine. In front of the court, there was no script left after that. Celeste flinched. Nolan's head dropped. Bryn? She sobbed. Not the theatrical kind. The broken, heartsick sound of someone realizing they were just a puppet, and the strings were bloody. The judge didn't need long. By noon, trust control was removed from all Monroe family members. Celeste and Nolan were under federal review. The wedding funds were deemed misappropriated and ordered to be returned with interest. Bryn? She was left out of the restitution completely. Ezra and I stood on the courthouse steps as the press surged. Do you feel vindicated? One shouted. I met their gaze. No, I feel clean. Cut scene. A week later, I stood outside Grandma Elaine's house, the one she left in my name. The air smelled like cedar and wet leaves. Sunlight streamed through the broken clouds like a last chance. The for sale sign was gone. I opened the door, walked through the foyer and let it echo. Ezra walked in behind me. Silent. I placed the manila folder on the table. Inside, a letter to Bryn. One she'd never asked for. One I'd written anyway. You believed what they fed you because they never gave you a reason to question it. That's not a sin. But choosing to stay blind is. You can come back if you want truth, not just comfort. I wasn't mailing it. Not yet. Some doors only open when you knock twice. Cut scene. 3 months passed. Celeste was indicted. Nolan fled to Texas. Bryn tried a rebrand. Lifestyle vlogging. Finding my inner light. The comments weren't kind. I started a new firm. Something small. Just mine. One night, as I sat by the fireplace in Grandma's old study, Ezra handed me a gift, wrapped in old legal briefs. I opened it. It was a frame. Inside, a quote I'd once muttered while pacing the floor, barely conscious of the words. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's just the silence left behind when the liars have finally run out of breath. I stared at it for a long time. There was no wedding, no aisle, no dress, but I had something better. Peace, autonomy, truth. People always said blood was thicker than water, but I learned something else. Loyalty without accountability is just a leash, and I don't wear leashes anymore.